It's been a minute, but good things come to those who wait, right? I had to figure out what the next video was going to be. And I kind of got a lot in the queue right now. I got this video. I've got some shorts to hammer out. I've got a PC review to do technically. So bear with me. But I promised this video, so I got to make this video, right? Right? How to install GNS3? Well, let's start. What is GNS3? What's this guy? This guy right here, what is this? GNS3, or Graphical Network Simulator-3, is an open source network simulation software. It combines several different technologies, KVM, Linux bridges, and a whole bunch of other stuff to stitch them together to create a graphical interface that lets you map out and simulate network environments. GNS3 is actually pretty powerful. I used it a few years ago in my early 20s to get my CCNA. I was able to download Cisco iOS images from the digital Cs, get those images uploaded to GNS3 after I had spun it up, and map out networks. And this was on some very low-end hardware, boys. I'm talking about like a Core i2500K and 16 gigs of RAM. If you are running GNS3 in today's day and age and you want to do anything more than basic networks and maps, I would highly advise you give it at least like 32 gigs of RAM and you use at least a 6-core multi-threaded system. In my case, I'm going to be running it on Proxmox, so I'm going to be taking like a 30 or 40% performance hit just from virtualizing it. So if you're running it on Proxmox, you're going to need even more resources. So I would highly advise, if you do want to go ahead and install GNS3, you install it on physical hardware. So you can install GNS3 virtualized in Windows or virtualized on Proxmox. But again, my recommendation is get an old laptop with at least like 4 or 6 cores, load it up with 32 gigs of RAM, and install GNS3 so you don't take that performance hit. I don't have to do that. I actually have enough hardware where I can afford the performance hit of virtualizing it, which makes this video very convenient for you because you'll get to see the entire install process of GNS3. We'll be using Ubuntu for the guest operating system for this install because it's actually easier to spin this up on Ubuntu than it is Debian. I know. We're switching things up here, right? Trying to make things convenient. You can install GNS3 on Windows. This is not what this video is about. If this gets enough traction, I might do a how-to video for Windows. I don't mind sacrificing some of my hardware for that. Otherwise, let's get started, boys. Now, you can install GNS3 as a server or as a graphical application. I'm going to assume you're going to be installing this as a graphical application on a laptop because that's the easiest way to get this running. And if you install it on a laptop, you can use your laptop as a laptop and carry it around with you and practice network stuff on the go. Yeah? How's that? Great idea, right? Let's get started by creating a new VM. So in our case, we're going to call this guy, let's say 4,000. Oh, I've already got that taken. It's $39.99. We're going to call this GNS3 example. As far as the operating system goes, we're going to go with Ubuntu 2404. You're going to make this a guest agent. Now with GNS3, we're going to give this, let's see, 128 gigs of storage on our SSD store. Again, you're running virtual machines with GNS3, so I would highly advise that you use SSD storage. You have at least 16 gigs of RAM, and you have at least like 6 cores. Preferably 6 cores, 12 threads or more, and at least like an 8th gen or newer Intel CPU, or I'd say maybe like a Ryzen 2nd gen at least. All right, this, when it's fully running, actually does use quite a bit of resources. So bus is SCSI, disk is right through. Yep, we're going to give this 12 cores, which is equivalent to 6 threads. We're going to give this host CPU. This GNS3 does actually use KVM under the hood to run virtual machines, so you're going to be doing nested virtualization. A computer in a computer in a computer. We're going to give this 16384 amounts of RAM, virtual bridge 0, and click finish. We just let this run. Now the next step in this is to actually get Ubuntu installed. So let's speed run through that real quick. Quick try or install Ubuntu. And we just let this run for a few more seconds as it boots the installer. Fuck you. There's a dude sitting in the street. You then hit next. You choose seeing. You hit next again, choose your keyboard, We're going to be wired. And we'll skip the updates for the installer. We then want to install Ubuntu Interactive. You can just choose the default selection of tools. We're not going to need any of that. What you want it to do is erase the disk and install Ubuntu. Call the computer name GNS3 example. Our username is going to be GNS3 admin. Set a password on this. Set another password on this. Choose our time zone, and then you hit install. And you just wait for that to install. And that's going to take however long it takes, so we'll be back when it's done. After you're done with the install, it's going to drop you down on the desktop. Again, I would highly recommend using the desktop version for this. You can install it on Proxmox, you can enable RDP, but GNS3 is powerful and useful, but it does break. And when you're trying to fix it, a graphical interface will make your life so much easier. So you open up terminal, you expand it out, and the first thing you want to do is a sudo apt-get update, and you just let it run, and it's going to go ahead and reinstall. So you just let the updates run, and you come back to this. After this, we're going to add the GNS3 repository, run another update, and then get GNS3 installed with i386 and IOU support. You need i386 and IOU if you actually want to run Cisco images. So that is pretty important. After that, we're also going to spin up our first test network. I don't have any Cisco images sitting around. I used to have a zip file that contained various Cisco images. However, between multiple moves and accidental NAS destructions, right? My fault, I blew up my NAS a couple times, and between those two, between multiple moves and accidentally blowing up my NAS a couple times, I lost those files. And you can't find them on the internet anymore. I don't know what Cisco did to go back and nuke them from the internet, but they did a very good job. I haven't been able to find that particular piece of digital gold in a while. So if someone out there has them and doesn't mind sharing them, don't share them with me, but post it in the comment section so others can learn as well. And we are back. So check it out, boys. It's done updating, right? Now it's time to actually get GNS3 installed. The fun part, the whole reason we're making this video, right? Right. So you do an add apt repository. Oh, you got to do sudo add apt repository ppa GNS3/ppa, and then enter your sudo password. And hit enter to continue. And what that does is add the GNS3 repo to your apt sources list, so that you can actually just download and install an update, this like any other package. After that, we do a quick update. I'll let that run as well. And then from there, it's straightforward. We do a sudo apt install GNS3 GUI, GNS3 server, GNS3 IOU, and we let that run. Forgot the dash. So from there, we can do a simple apt-get install. So you do sudo apt-get install -y GNS3 GUI, GNS3 server, GNS3 IOU, so you can run Cisco images, assuming you're studying for the CCNA or CCNP, and you just let that run. And we just entered dependency held. Let's see, you have held broken packages. So let's do a sudo apt-get update --fix missing apt-get update -y. Now let's do another sudo apt-get install -y GNS3 GUI, GNS3 server. Okay, and you just let that run, and we'll be back in a few minutes whenever this is completed. Oh, look at that, that was quicker than I thought. Should non-super users be able to run GNS3? Go ahead and click yes. Should non-super users be able to capture packets? Yes. And with that, GNS3 is now installed, but we're not quite done yet. We have to add IOU support for Cisco images. How do we do that? We do a sudo the package --add architecture i386 sudo apt update. And from there, we're going to do a sudo apt install GNS3 IOU. And with that, we can now run Cisco images on our GNS3 install. Ooh! Yes, sir. Okay, let's wait for that to finish installing, and we'll go from there. GNS3 also supports Docker images. That is beyond this video. Sorry, boys, we got to keep things focused, locked in. So now that GNS3 is installed, how do we run it and build our first network? Give me a moment here. There's two parts to GNS3. There is the server and there's the client. You're going to have to start both from the command line. So you can just do that with a quick GNS3 server, and you'll know it's up and running because it's going to say connected to compute local WebSocket at the bottom of the command line output you see right there. After that, you can just start GNS3 by opening up another command prompt and typing in GNS3. Once it's opened up, you're just going to tell it where to look for the web server. So you'll click Run Appliances on my local computer. Next. The host binding is localhost. The TCP is 3080. And the path is GNS3 server. And there you go. Now let's create our first project in here. And you'll see why I like GNS3. First, we click New Blank Project. We're going to call this Test Project 1. We hit OK. And then you can go in and let's build out our first network. We're going to drop a switch there, another switch there. Connect the two switches like so. ETH1 to ETH1, ETH1 to ETH1. And then you can configure port 1 on each one of these switches to be trunks. So you would set them to .1Q so that it's a trunk on this switch, and set this to .1Q. All right, so if you're studying your networking stuff, you know .1Q is the standard for trunks and sending network traffic between switches. All right, so you gotta have a strong foundation of networking knowledge to really take advantage of this. From there, we can drop some virtual PCs. Yeah. And the cool thing about GNS3, it is not an emulator, right? It's not pretending. These are real fake PCs. Meaning if we were to click on one of these VPCs and hit console, and then we go back to our terminal, you'll notice two new tabs in our terminal. These tabs in our terminal are directly correlated to these virtual PCs right here. And if we were to give them IP addresses and start a ping, you would notice that traffic is flowing. So what would happen if we were to go through and delete that link? Now when we go back, the traffic stopped flowing. And if we were to run another ping, it fails because it has nowhere to route that traffic through. And that's what makes GNS3 so powerful and useful. It lets you actually build out networks, connect them together, and then break them visually, which is a great learning tool. As always, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Low Spec Labs. Please tune in next time. Right now, our short-term content is focused on Microsoft Azure, and there's a reason for that. I'm trying to stuff cloud knowledge in this noggin of mine. And once I have the cloud knowledge stuffed in my noggin, we can do cool stuff, and I can share that cool stuff with you. So if you're interested in learning some cloud stuff, if you're interested in using Linux with the cloud, please stay tuned. I see, the more I dive into Azure, I see the pros and cons. I like some stuff. I don't like other stuff. But hey, that's life. You ain't gonna like everything, right? As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe. If you want to see more, tune in here and on TikTok. You know, slightly different content, right? Otherwise, peace, boys.